Okay, hello everybody. My name is Dimitry, this is Wachen, and also we're ready to start our talk attacking Smp Mobile. Also, as you can see, our title is our presentation title is a little bit changed, sadly, but a few of our findings in Smp Mobile ecosystem still in patching by Smp. That's why we can disclose them, and we had cut some slides, in my opinion, some of the most interesting slides. So please look forward for our future presentation about Smp Mobile, where we describe all our findings as soon as possible. But by the way, few of our findings already patched by Smp, and in this talk we would like to present them. So a little bit about our company. It's called ERP-Scan. We did a lot of penetration testing related with SAP and other ERP systems like Oracle, etc. We found a lot of different vulnerabilities in SAP, etc. And a little bit about us. My name is Dimitry, as I said, and I'm yet another security researcher, and I work in the field of information security and in particular business application security, and as I said, I work in ERP-Scan, and now I give a word to my colleague Wagen. This is his first security conference, that's why maybe he will be a little confused, but I hope everything will be okay. So Wagen.
Hello, I'm Wagen. I work in ERP-Scan company. I have a specialist degree in information security and found many vulnerabilities on the SAP and other web application. Today I want to say about Smp Mobile platform. Smp Mobile platform need for managing and monitoring policy, what's named BIOT. BIOT, this policy of permitting employees to bring personally owned mobile devices to their workplace and use those devices to access privileged information in company and for access to company some applications. Let's look simply architecture of Smp Mobile. In the right, we can view public network where location customers, employees with devices. Employees use a device for connect to information in backend, to enterprise data source, and all connection, managing, monitoring, and controlling Smp Mobile platform. The Smp Mobile platform consists in two big parts. First, SAP Mobile server, and second, custom database. Custom database can use MS SQL, SAP SQL Anywhere, or Oracle. Today we look SAP Mobile server with SAP SQL Anywhere. Smp Mobile platform supported many platforms, include iOS, Android, BlackBerry, and Windows, all platforms, and supported Symbian platform, but Symbian don't popular platform today. Developers can use Smp Mobile SDK for write application, for example, for iOS platform in Objective-C, for Android and BlackBerry for use Java language, and for .NET and for Microsoft platform use C# language for .NET frameworks. Let's look here. What is have Smp Mobile platforms versions, and what is the protocols used in Smp platform. Here I show 4 versions: SAP 2.1.3 and SAP 2.2. After Smp renamed this platform and to Smp 2.3 and Smp 3.0. All these 4 protocols use encryptions, and we can view what, for example, HTTP REST-API protocol work on application layer, Smp replication and Smp messaging work in communication layer, and SAP agentry protocol used in SAP agentry layer. When we install Smp Mobile platform on the server, we install round 3 service. First, Smp control center. Second service, Smp SQL Anywhere server, and third, Smp Mobile server. When we enable SAP control center service, he enable SST service.exe process. This process listens for ports. First 2100 and 49 ports used for RMI requests. These ports use administrator for controlling and managing Smp Mobile platform. In NT2, and NT2, ports use administrator for access to portal page. In this service, we found vulnerability and we'll look about this vulnerability. Second service, it's SAP SQL Anywhere. SAP SQL Anywhere is a popular database. He have many connections, and developers can use these connectors for write many applications. For example, in C#, Java, C++ languages for make request to this database. Here we too found vulnerability. And latest service is Smp Mobile server. When we start this service, he enable many processes. Today we look only to Mobilink and admin web service. Mobilink or Mobilink synchronization, this component of SQL Anywhere. Mobilink system is a synchronization-based system with allow 2 ways synchronization. This happens between consolidated database and remote database client or device local database. This modeling can use TCP/IP, TLS, HTTP, or HTTPS protocols. Second process is admin web service. Admin web service use Cassini web server 1.0 versions. Here, very simple server and listen only local port 5100. About this service, I say in vulnerable area. Smp Mobile platforms. Let's view vulnerability when we found in Smp. First vulnerability when we found it's GEO protocol information decryptor or RMI request use GEO protocol for send and receive data. For example, this RMI request, and I highlight two data. First, it's username, and second, it's password. But here, data is encrypted. Sometime we found on the server Java files which encrypt and decrypt this data and write a simple program on the Java which decrypt this binary data. For example, the first result it's login, and second it's password. Encryption and decryption functions don't use hard algorithms. Here we can view for use only work with byte with get random from random functions. Second vulnerability one we found is XML external entity attack to SAP Mobile platform portal page. Portal page by default can access and by this URL. The portal SAP Mobile platform have many plugins for the write in Java language and use here Cassini Jetty web service. We start research. We for search web XML and service config XML files because in here files can contains many information about used servlets and authorization what can use in servlets. We found first files web.xml, and he can look information about message broker servlet, but full path is don't include here. But we can look here what don't use any authorization. We continue search and found second files. It's service config.xml. In this file include full path to message broker servlet And all we found 5 servlets we can access without authorization. We found Java files that use these servlets and understand what in this these servlets use vulnerability XML parser and try to send post request to servlets with body is contains external entity tag when we write remote IP address with ports. When we send this request to server parse it and send request to remote port get request. With XXI attack, we can read file from server, can scan internal ports or read directory. From sub documentation, we know about sub.properties file, where we have sub.emo.apa case. We read sub.properties file and get from this this response this key. This key contains administrator, login and password, but all data is encrypted. We try to decrypt this data with GeoP password decryptor program, what we write, and can look for result, admin system login and password of administrator. For fixing this vulnerability, need install this sub-security node. About vulnerability, about this vulnerability, we told on Black Hat USA in 2011 year, but still on the sub ecosystem you can find a lot of vulnerability associated with web XML files. For example, we found 2 other servlets what can without authorization return generate log or deploy it and install jar package on the server. But about this vulnerability, we can say many data. About admin web service. Admin web service use I told what use Cassini web server. This message write Cassini developers guys what Cassini is we don't support Cassini and with new server can use Ultimate Dev Web Server Pro, but why SAP use Cassini, I don't know. For example, Cassini don't support authorization or CSRF tokens or other security mechanism. If attacker for example, attacker can send this post request. Attacker can make CSRF attack with send this request to the server and on the database create administrator with this username and activation code and expired house when attacker can use this username and code. About vulnerability, what we found in SupSQL anyway, we were searching in Google and found only 2 public vulnerabilities associated with heap and stack overflow. For example, first vulnerability for reproduce, I need send longer username to server or versions or remote ID, and on server have heap overflow. An attacker can make any command on the server. And second vulnerability have stack-based buffer overflow on the .NET SAP SQL Anywhere on the .NET data provider. It seems to imitate this product is not good researched, and we cannot miss it. We was download SQL Anywhere 16 versions, developer edition, install it, and connect client to server. When after established connection, we got first push request. Here you can see that it will use TDS protocol, and this connection is established with the SQL server name Mobile 23 primary. Every sended field have name and length. And after some time research, we understand if send this request, when continue only to connection string, on the server have crash. We write this connection to the binary files, sent to SQL Anywhere ports, and service what we work on the server is stopped. For fixing this vulnerability, need to install this subsecurity node. Okay, we was looked about server, and let's look information about client vulnerability. We found on the SAP environment application SQL injection. Attacker application, attackers can install application on the customers' devices, and this application, if have in Android manifest right provider privilege, can try connect to sap.com that maybe content provider, which include SQL injection. This vulnerability is fixed, and for fixed can download this, can install this subsecurity node. About SAP Afaria.
Yes. Thanks. It was information about Smp Mobile platform, but I will tell you about Smp Area. What is that? Smp Area, it is a MDM solution from Smp company. MDM, it is a mobile device management. The product was initially developed by other company, XLNet, and called Session Express, and it was developed in 1997. After that, a few times rebranding, and finally was both by Sybase, and after Sybase was both SAP in 2012. SAP released 7 version of SAP Area. So, as I said, SAP Area, it is a MDM solution. It's used with this solution is often used with SAP Mobile platform. In sometimes even both this solution share one database. That's why if an attacker can compromise SAP Mobile platform, he can get access to the SAP Area, and another way, if an attacker can compromise SAP Area, he can get data from SAP Mobile platform. That's why important protect both these systems. And how it works? The main idea of MDM solution is controlling and protection mobile devices used by the company and its employers. And mobile device management, or MDM, has 2 main goals. First, secure corporate data on any device outside the corporate network. And the second one, it is controlling the state of the devices themselves. So that's why all portable devices which used in company connect to the on this device installed SAP Area client. This client exists on different mobile platforms for Android, for iOS, for mobile devices, Windows mobile devices, etc. After that, portable device connected to the Area server, and all these devices are available for administrator. He can, SAP Area administrator can manage this device, control the state, apply policy, etc. Also, administrator can create groups of device and apply all available policies to group of device. And how it works, I will show a bit later. So, the first entity is a enrollment policy. What is that? Client successfully the client should install on their, or employer should install on their portable device a Area client application. After that, he needs to enroll policy, and for that he have 2 ways for that. First of all, he can use a self-service portal. It is special service when it is web application. Employers go to the this self-service portal through the browser and download configuration file with server names and etc. Port number, etc. The second way is administrator create enrollment policy. He create a link to the configuration file which describe which server name used, which port used, which protocol used, and use the URL shortening services for shortening this URL. By default, uses two different shortening services. First of all, it is TinyURL, and second one is shortening service provided by Google. And after that, this URL shortening services returns the code of shorted URL, and this code provided by administrator to employer. And when employer successfully downloaded Afaria clients on their tablet, for example, he just enters this enrollment code, and the client successfully downloaded all needed information about Afaria server. So enrollment code which used by TinyURL start with tchar set, and for Google services they start with g charset. And for example, if attacker lucky boy, he can try to brute force some TinyURL codes and get information about, maybe he can find some external Afaria services. So, configuration policies. When Afaria client was successfully installed on the some mobile platform, he tried to download information about configuration policy, about application policy. In our case, configuration policy describe security settings of for mobile devices. For example, administrator can point password policy. He can disable camera, disable screenshotting, etc. A lot of different security configuration available, especially for Android operating system, and also exists a different version of configuration policy for different vendors, like LG or Samsung provides their own configuration settings, but it's very interesting for controlling data. The next one, it is application policy. It is a special policy where administrator describe which application should be installed on the client portable devices. For example, administrator can point just a name from official markets, from Google Play or from Apple Store. He just inserts the name of application, and after that applies the application policy, and on the client will be forced installation of this application. Or he can just upload their APK file, for example, for Android. Just upload APK file on the Afaria server, and this application will be installed on the client. That's how, if attacker can compromise Afaria server, he can upload a malicious application, for example, which will be used for stealing super secrets of company. So the next one, it is device information. In my opinion, it's a very interesting functionality. It's typical for different MDM solutions. Administrator can get information about activity of each connected device. He can get information about hardware, which type of tablets or telephone used, which operator, which GSM network, which platform version, email, etc. Also information about configuration, also information about installed applications, etc. Also information about short messages, incoming and outgoing, on which number this message was sent, and which network used, and also give information about when, where, and when employer was when he got this SMS message, for example. Also, this information available for voice calling services. And how a FAREA client communicate with a FAREA server. First of all, it is their own protocol. His name is XNet. It's looks like this protocol was developed by original developers. This protocol used by default. Also, administrator can use some relay server which use HTTP and provide tunneling for this protocol. And the third communication way, it is it is different push notification services provided by Google and Apple companies. For example, for Google, it is its name Google Cloud Messaging, or GCM. For Android, it is a server that allows you to send data from your server to your users which use Android portable devices. The GCM service handles all aspects of this type of message and deliver to the target Android application running on these target devices. And of course, the last one I forgot, the most interesting, it is administrator can send special SMS messages for controlling portable devices. So it was a little information about how it works, but a few vulnerabilities which was found in our searching. Start with good news for SAP program guys. When we try to analyze web application of server of a FAREA server, of course we start popular tools like a burp or something like that, and so this type of request, a lot of different parameters, all these things is very hard to understand. We try to remove one, and nothing works. Also, all popular web application mechanism they use Xref tokens, they use X-frame options, headers. Everything is okay. So it's two things. It's hard to understand how it works, and very similar vulnerabilities like XSS. Not so interesting to exploit because, for example, cookies set up with secure flags and HTTP only flags. So the next things, we try to download a FAREA client for Android and compile them because they use Java as languages. And we saw code of this application was obfuscated, and we can see any class name, even all popular Java decompiler like GDGUI can decompile some interesting method which used for encryption, for example. And also a FAREA clients, in our case for Android, in a FAREA clients for Android exist some checks which detect, for example, root access on this phone and send this information to the server and administrator, so rooted devices or jailbreak devices. By the way, also we found, that's all good news, but also we found a few vulnerabilities. It's classic missing authorization check vulnerabilities. in one of the servers of a Fire server, it's allowed to establish connection using a special entities called channel. It's channels. It's things which allow to a Fire administrator automate some action with devices. For example, he can create a channel which will be force some policies if detect rooted devices, for example. So we found few, if to be honest, only two commands which we can use for without any notification. One of them is run channel, and the another one is a test. For interesting, a run channel allows to point IP addresses and port. If we send this request to the server, a Fire server will try to connect with this pointed IP address on this port number and try to establish a channel connection. We can use it for example, for internal port scanning. SCP successfully closed this vulnerability. The next one, vulnerability is X listener denial of service attack. It's a very silly vulnerability. It's just overflow if we send a big packet with big data. These servers which listen external port will be successfully crashed. The next one, it is another buffer overflow. In this case, we can exploit them. We can try to write a normal exploit, bypass some Windows protection mechanism, and execute a operating system command. But the buffer overflow, and again, pretty silly, just a lot of A in our case. Charset and X listener application go to crash. And again, this vulnerability was closed by SCP. So, as I said, we found much more vulnerabilities. All these vulnerabilities in Afaria, for attackers, and more interesting to compromise this type of server, which allow us to control data and control mobile devices. But this really interesting vulnerability, and SCP kindly asked us to do not disclose them right now. So that's all for today. Sorry for that. So if you have any question, please raise your hand.
So first of all, thanks a lot.